I was going to ask a question, Blair, for the fans, but it's not. I'm lying, and it is a cliche question because it's going to be about Antoine Dupont. I imagine the coaches are kissing him on the head every day. You know, the favouritism and the emotion that they have. But I think everyone genuinely wants to hear what it's like being around a player of that quality. Am I talking him up by saying he's the greatest rugby player we've ever seen? Because even at the weekend, what he does on a pitch is something that I have never seen before across all parts of the game. Like, just give us some insight into him, please.
It's funny. You always get asked about him because people are so interested because he is the best player in the world, and it's like you said, is he the best player of all time? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah, I think I know.
No, he's world class. From a rugby point of view, the stuff he does in training, how hard he works, the stuff that you see at the weekend there is kick, pass, score, assist to Ange in the corner. It's like, it's not by chance that that's happening. Like, the amount of times I see him do that training, pre, post, and during training, it's you kind of understand how it's so accurate on game day. He practices so much. And from a non-rugby point, he's just like a normal bloke, to be honest. Like, he's so famous, and he's performed so well that you feel like could that have gone to someone's head, but it's not the case there. He's just so chill, kind of just a good bloke, likes to hang out, go out for food the whole time, have a bit of banter here and there. It's just like a normal guy who looks to hang out with his friend and then turns up at the weekend and does his thing. Like, he's not bigger than the team. I don't think he views himself like that at all. So yeah, just a general all-round good lad.
Just a cool bloke.
There's got to be something though. Like, everyone's got a weakness, right? So in a rugby environment, everyone gets a bit of banter about something. Has he got bad breath? Has he got a spotty back? You know, is he in proportion, size of his piece? Like, has he got a hairy bum? Like, because he's everyone's golden child, right? Or golden player. It's got to be. Give us something on him.
I'll have to ask people who kind of who have come up from 20s with him if they've got any funny stories. But now, like, not that I'm aware of.
Not that he's willing to say. Blair's not going to call out one of the greatest players to have
the biggest push ever, apparently.
Yeah, how influential is it? Go on, Blair. Sorry, people. What? Go.
No, I was saying people might be having banter with him. You know, I don't know. I'm on the other end of the I'm on the other end of the changing room, so you know, sometimes you want to hear.
Yeah, so just on him as well, like, tell us a little bit more about the kind of training stuff that he does, because we follow football, right? And we talk about Messi, we talk about Ronaldo, and you're a player in the background doing loads of extras. So you mentioned there that he's out there doing that all the time. Like, how inspirational is that for someone like you, and how much of that do you take back to Scotland? Because I know this is an important part of the game. It's a very noisy question, right? But we're talking about the top table. And we're talking about in Scotland, we're now feeding at the top table. And you've seen a massive shift in our performances as well. Like, I'm sure George, who was amazing at the weekend, is asking you, what's Dupont doing, right? So what is he doing? What are you saying to George?
Gogsy was unreal. What a game, right?
Wicked.
You're welcome.
I turned it on, it'd just been half time, and then it'd be like, oh, what half George Horns had 3 tries in the yellow card. I'm like, fucking hell, on yourself, Gogsy.
Yeah. So what's the difference between someone like that, who Judy was saying was basically like Dupont, and Dupont? I know there's not a huge amount, but there is something.
I said at the weekend, if Dupont had done what Horn did, we'd have all been going mad.
Well,
it's now becoming natural. Dupont does something like that every game, right? And that's the standard you have to get to.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I think the thing that probably sets apart Antoine from the other nines is like his is like you said, he's able to do stuff like that week in, week out. I think his consistency of kind of being a great player is kind of the thing that's the thing that comes to my head the most. Is like, yeah, it's like for me, just for me, for instance, like, I could have a great game one week and everyone's like, oh yeah, like amazing player, blah, blah, blah. And then the next like 3 or 4 games, you have just like an average game. You don't have a bad game, you have like an average game. And then it's like, oh, right, yeah. Whereas he's able to have like a great game after great game after great game. He just kind of backs it up.
He's either he's either a 9 or a 10 every game, isn't he?
You know, yeah, he's never really like below that. So that's kind of, I don't know how he does it, honestly. Maybe I need to ask him more. I need to ask him more questions.
Pourquoi? That's what you need to say. You need to say pourquoi.
Yeah, exactly. But all the skill side of it, like he he does these at training, like the passes that you see, the kicks that you see. Like he's not afraid to kind of do them in the middle of like a training session, not just at the end when it's like a closed skill. So just say you're practicing, like for me, if I'm practicing my crossfield kicks, whatever, it's all very well being able to do them when there's no pressure on you at the end of training, but doing them in a training session when the pressure's on you, that's a different thing. So I think he manages to get in all these little skills into a training session. So then when it comes to games, like people know what's going on, they react to him. I think the one thing that boys are really good at here is we've got so many X factor players in our back line and in our forward pack that people are just so good at reacting to little things, like someone making a half break and offloading, or someone doing a little kick here and there, and the support around each person is like right at the top. So maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah, because that's what that was going to be my next question there, Blair, because we're talking about Antoine Dupont, but you look at the state of that team and it is like, it doesn't get any better. I can't think of a better rugby team ever, like a club team. Is there anyone else in there that no one's really speaking about? If it wasn't Dupont, who's in there that is like unbelievable, where you've just gone like, wow?
Piato Movaka.
Yeah.
He's one of the he's probably one of the most skillful players I've ever come across. I think like when he's just like mucking around at training, pre or post training, he's just like always got a ball in his hands. Always just, he doesn't drop balls. Like someone will chuck a ball, but he's just grabbing it with one hand, playing football the whole time. Just like all these small skills that people have, and he just nails it. It's like, it caught me right by surprise. He's one of the best like ball handlers in the team, and so skillful. And like obviously he gets a lot of praise now for the stuff that he's doing in the French team. But I think when I remember watching at the World Cup when Julien Marchand got injured, and then it was Piato had come on early in that New Zealand game. I think it was the opening game, and he was just like carving up. I was who's this guy? Like, what's going on? Mm. And then like going to play with him, I'm like, he is just crazy. Like he's a funny bloke as well, but his skills are the top.
Yeah. In training, have you had to tackle Manny Mifu as well or not?
You mofo.
Absolute mofo. Imagine getting stuck in front of him. No thanks.
I've not actually. Thankfully, I haven't had to do any tackling drills with him. But yeah, he takes like 2 or 3 people to bring down. So then that just opens holes around other places. And like at the weekend just gone, he scored 2 tries just by his sheer size, being 2 meters from the goal line. It's so hard to stop, especially when you've got like other massive forwards around you running off a great 9 as well. It's hard to stop, and
it's a joy.
Yeah,
it's a joy to watch it, to play, and it must be unreal.
Yeah. I think it's cheating. Having that many good players in one team is cheating, I reckon. But no, it's class. Now, obviously, your roots and your background is Edinburgh. Played there for 9 years. Let's get to the Scotland side of things.
He won't talk about Glasgow.
How good are you that Glasgow won the URC last year?
I was actually watching it here with my mum here? No, I don't think so. I was watching it in my living room because my cousin plays for Glasgow, Gregor Brown. And he wasn't meant to be playing in the final, and then someone was ill, and then he was straight on the bench, and I was like, oh my God, he's in the final. And then he got on, and then they won. I was actually buzzing for them, like, because a lot of them are like my really, really close mates. So seeing them, like, first of all, I watched their semi-final against Munster, and the way that they were flying into the boys, honestly, I really enjoyed watching it. And then them going to South Africa and winning, like, I was buzzing for them.
Yeah,
obviously it was funny, right? So I was trying to explain to them. I was like, winning trophies is an unbelievable feeling. Like being able to come here and win Europe and the top 14, it was unbelievable. But for Glasgow, some of those boys have been playing there since they were 18 all the way up to now, and then they've won a trophy with like the guys that they've grown up with. It must just be such a cool feeling for them. So yeah, I'm very, very happy for them, and I know how hard they work for it. And Who knows? Imagine if we played them in Europe. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible.
Well, I don't know how. We were trying to work out how it all goes.
Knockouts,
exactly.
yeah.
The knockout. Who knows though? We're trying to work out the competition.
You ain't playing Edinburgh.
With with Glasgow and with Scotland, Blair, and you'll go back right, and people will be asking the same questions that we're asking. You'll give more formal answers to the coaches about how it's going there, but. With the state of rugby in Scotland, I say this respectfully after we're just saying that Glasgow have won the URC and they're doing really well. What are they doing right in France? Like, what advice would you give to David Nucifora or Gregor, who is being spoken about taking over the performance role after the Scotland role? There's a lot of work to do there, and I know that you've come through the school system, so it's quite a political question, but it's such an important question, mate, in Scotland now.
Yeah, it is a tough question. I think one thing that it's the amount of players out in France is mental. Like, you've got the top 14, and then you got the Pro D2, and you got so many more after that. Like the top 14, the Pro D2, they're two massively competitive leagues. And in each of those teams, they've got great academy systems. Like our Espoirs, our academy boys will come and train. Will train with us and fill in with us, and they're great players. So I don't know what. Yeah, it's a tough question.
Mate, it's a really, really tough question. And it's a throwaway question, but like one that's kind of, I'm trying to, because you're in the best team, right? And then people are going to be saying in 3 or 4 years' time, Blair, what can we do? But it's not 3 or 4 years' time. It's like, now, what can Scotland do? And I know it's a hard question because rugby's thriving in the schools. You came through that system. Yet the transfer of players now into the national team, we've got the highest number of foreigners playing. But it's just, if you can't answer and you don't want to, it's absolutely fine. But I just think from a fan's point of view.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I honestly don't know what it would be. Like, it is a tough question.
I think winning's a big thing as well, isn't it? It's like,
for sure.
Yeah, like
for sure,
winning
is a big thing. Yeah. I think that's why it's great that Glasgow have won the league last year. I think that'll hopefully kind of a winning culture kind of infiltrates into places that you are. So, like, I remember Gregor was asking me, he was like, what, like you're saying, like what are they doing, what's different, what can we bring in, etc. The funny thing is, honestly, I don't really know. Like, I just kind of was turning up and kind of just playing,
which we like as well.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the boys have got their head clear and they just kind of turn up and they get on with it. Yeah,
well, that's the beauty of France, though, isn't it? That's the beauty of France, where you don't really know, do you? You're like, well, how they do it? Like, it is one of the great mysteries.
I tell you now, it's not the school system in France.
I know,
because they don't play rugby at school, do they? It's all clubs.
It's rugby is so big over here. Like, each city will like live and die by the rugby team, or town will live and die by the rugby team. It's like week in, week out, you got people packing out stadiums. Like the academy games, they got people going to that. We have people coming to our training ground to kind of see us every day, and it's just like they live and die by it. It's just like a massive part of the culture here.
It's tribal, yeah.
That's the thing. So when
also, like, I don't know what it was like before in Toulouse, because obviously I seen like, maybe I don't know how many years ago that they didn't have a great season and they were kind of in the middle of the league or near the bottom of the league, and like the reform that's happened since then, like how they managed to do that. That's obviously. So, because I've only arrived and it's only ever been good. So, you know what I mean?
Well, that was Hugo Moller's first year. I think they finished 12th in the top 14.
Was it? Right.
Lowest ever. And I was commentating for Sky Sports, trying to get him the sack because of how he treated me at Brave. But like, he regenerated the squad, got rid of a load of the older guard, and brought through a load of young players. And you've obviously gone on, and it's a long-term vision for him, which he's done exceptionally well at. How are you treated in Toulouse? As in, and I mean this, when I played at Breve, on a Monday morning, if we'd won, I'd go into the local bakery and I'd get a free chicken baguette. Right, if we lost, they wouldn't fucking serve me. So, like, it's that's how it is. Is there much of that knocking around? Because you must be heroes there, and you don't lose very often. But do they treat you like kings there, or is it any?
We get treated really well. Like the city loves the rugby team. So I would say you do get recognised more. People are willing to kind of. Or just people are just excited when they see you, like, out in the street and stuff like that. I don't get it that much, but I imagine for some of the big French boys, like, these people, like the people of the city, like they're their idols, sort of things. But no, you do kind of get treated. You do get looked after in certain aspects, but it's like you say, I've not seen the bad side of it yet. So
What? Just on that, imagine being Antoine Dupont around Toulouse, like impossible. What car does he drive? Finn's got the Lambo. Let's put it into context. What car's he got?
Oh, well, we're sponsored by Peugeot, so everyone's got a Peugeot or
He
a
ain't
Peugeot.
driving
I don't
a
know how
Peugeot.
you
He
say
ain't
it.
driving a Peugeot
Blair, don't say
206.
that.
He ain't in a
Swear.
206.
Everyone, we're all got Peugeots. I don't know the right way. I always say Peugeot. Everyone's got Peugeots. Yeah.
I don't
Swear.
believe you.
He's got a Rari
well,
somewhere,
I have
hasn't
to
he?
say, it has to.
It has to have a
Absolutely. Mate, let's talk about Scotland. Okay, let's get back to the heartbeat.
Yeah.
A load of Scotland listeners. How do you rate the autumn? How have you come out of that? I know it's you're moving on, but like looking back on that.
I think overall it was successful. I think we had some really good performances in there. Even though we lost to South Africa, we take some massive positives from that game. Obviously, we want to be winning those sort of close fixtures, but the way that the boys fronted up, physically, mentally, I thought we were right there with it. And then we capped it off with a really good win against a really good Australia team who've had a massive kind of come up in the last since the World Cup almost. So overall, I'd say it's successful. I think it's now kind of the pressure's on for this Six Nations that's coming up. I think we kind of know. I remember hearing news. I think it was you, Jimmy, who said it. It was like, we're going to win the Six Nations. Of course you are.
I've said that
He says it every year.
20 years I've been saying
Says it every year. Blair.
But like looking at it now, it's like our squad is good. I think it is kind of this Six Nations is the opportunity to get it. And I think the Glasgow boys have spoken really well about putting their neck on the line and kind of backing something that they believe in. And I think that this is the Six Nations to do it. I think finishing a year on a good win against Australia is going to kickstart us into a really good Six Nations. And yeah, I'm confident in the squad's ability to perform. It's just about being able to back it up week in, week out, which is something we've struggled with. Obviously, we've gone from like an 8 out of 10 performance to like a 6 out of 10 performance too often. So I think it's now time to do our thing.
Pod.
Rugby Pod.